Should the Eagles trade up in the draft to go ahead and get the best pass rusher in Will Anderson? It would take a lot. We'll examine that one. Plus, looks like Philadelphia is very excited about Cam Jurgens being the starting right guard. Will that impact what they do in the NFL draft? I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show on a Friday. I want to thank you guys for all the great birthday wishes. Had an incredible 27th birthday yesterday, but let's jump into what's going on with the Eagles and the rest of the National Football League. Thumbs up for it being Friday. Hopefully you guys have a great Easter weekend. I want to begin with this Jacob Sports tweet. Now, the tweet did not necessarily start this conversation, but it highlights a conversation that I had with Josh Davis of the Philly Special Show on Wednesday that's kind of really blown up right now all over Eagles Nation, and that is the idea of trading up. We talked about trading back yesterday with that mock trade by NFL.com going back to 24 with the Vikings, and a lot of you guys didn't like it, and it's a little too far back for me. I agreed. However, listen to this. Would you trade the Eagles' 10th pick and 30th pick to move up in the draft for Will Anderson? And one of the Jacob Sports people said that they would go ahead and do that. And at first you go, no, I wouldn't want to give up 10 and 30. But then you also go, well, wait, how good is Will Anderson? He's the best pass rusher in the draft. Would you take the best pass rusher in the draft instead of getting two really, really good players at 10 and 30? And that is the question I want to present to you guys. Give me your thoughts on that right now. Now, my initial thought, again, is that it is a lot to go ahead and move up. And I'm starting to kind of think, as I've worked through this morning, I don't really want to do it. I think two players is better than one right now for Philadelphia. And there's a couple of reasons why. First off, the move would have to be most likely to 3 or 4. Right, overall, if you're looking at 3 or 4, let's say, for instance, CBS Sports' mock draft tier has a couple of mock trades coming up, but you have to get ahead of the Seattle Seahawks. For sure, the Seattle Seahawks, or go up to 3 where the Arizona Cardinals are, before this, of course, mock draft on your screen, and that way you can make sure the Cardinals don't take Will Anderson, because there's a lot of thoughts they would go defensive end because they lost J.J. Watt and needs pass rusher. So you got to go really high up. Now, you get Will Anderson, he becomes one of the best pass rushers, hopefully Philadelphia has had in a very long time, and all's well that ends well. However, I keep saying, if you stay at 10, you have a chance to get a really, really good playmaker, whether it's Jalen Carter, or whether it's Tyree Wilson, or whether it's Myles Murphy, or whether it's Lucas Van Ness. I know he's a little bit high for me at 10, but still, there's still other pass rushers that are available, and you still keep 30. And 30 can be used a bevy of ways. You could take a running back like Jahmyr Gibbs at number 30. You could take a safety at number 30. You could trade back and get more additional draft picks in next year's draft and this year's draft. I like the idea of 2 picks are better than 1. It's nothing against Will Anderson. I think Will Anderson is very, very good. But I just wonder if he's worth going up and spending 2 first-round draft picks when you could present the idea of taking Jalen Carter and Bijan Robinson, or Jalen Carter and Jahmyr Gibbs, for instance, which I did in my mock draft a little bit earlier this week. So I'm just curious where you guys are at on this, because it's tough, and this is the decisions that Howie Roseman has to make in the NFL draft, right? This is what's so difficult about being a GM, is that these are presented. He's probably game planned and war game these sort of scenarios where they go, hey, the Cardinals would let you come up to 3 for 10 and 30. Would you do it? And they have to sit there and kind of game plan it all out. Would we do it? How good do we think Will Anderson is? And then there are options of, hey, we can go back to 12 and get an additional first-round draft pick later on next year and still have 30 and still get Jalen Carter if he falls. It's just fascinating. So let me know what you guys think of the idea of trading up for Will Anderson. I'm not against it, but I'm not going to go out and promote it as something that I want the Eagles to do. I wouldn't hate it, but I wouldn't be like, you got to go ahead and move up to 10 or move up to 3 from 10 and 30. That way you get Will Anderson, or else we're going to have a terrible draft, because there's a lot of really good players in this draft. And if Tyree Wilson or Jalen Carter or Bijan Robinson are all there at 10, you could just take them and not have to worry about giving up number 30 overall. Again, comments are going to be important on this one. Let me know what you guys think. Now, there's a very interesting article here from SI.com, Eagles Today on Fan Nation, talking about Fletcher Cox's response to Cam Jurgens being in a kind of experiment at right guard. I mean, we don't really know if he can fully hold down the right guard spot, although, honestly, he's going to be just fine. But there's still people saying, well, he's a center, and moving over to right guard is just too much of a position change, and you want him to stay at center, and so he has to back up Jason Kelce for another year. And there's this whole line of talking about Cam Jurgens, and yet, I've said before, he's very athletic, and center and guard are not entirely different in terms of playing the position. It's the mental aspect of playing center where you have to worry about snap counts and changing pressures and that sort of thing that you don't do at right guard. Either way, we went ahead and had Fletcher Cox chime in on this, as Philadelphia is getting ready to begin offseason training activities a little bit later on in the spring. And here's what Fletcher Cox said, quote, "He's taking some reps at guard. I don't think it'll be all new to him, but it's different than playing center." Cox told his former teammate Chris Long on Long's Greenlight podcast recently, "I'm excited to see him, if he ends up in that position, grow. He'd be at right guard. We'll have our battle during training camp. If he puts in that position, it'll only make him better. End quote. That seems pretty good overall for your training camp against some of the better interior defensive linemen in the National Football League as a new right guard. You go against Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, right? You don't know who's going to be there, and he can only get better and go up from there overall. Nick Sirianni was asked about Cam Jurgens. He said this when they were in the NFL owners meetings in Phoenix, quote, "You don't have to get into leader in the clubhouse at this particular point. We'll always see what we can do to play the best five that we have right there." Cam had a really good year sitting behind one of the best players in franchise history, one of the best centers in the history of the game. And Jurgens, when asked about it, said, quote, "I can definitely work right guard in the offseason." He said, where I lost my spot, and we'll be here for OTAs as well, right? Obviously, OTAs are going to be important for Philadelphia coming up, where they are going to work on some things, and they're not really in pads going crazy, but they'll work on some things there. So I think Jurgens is going to be fine. I think that does kind of eliminate the idea of an offensive lineman at number 10. I know people in the comment section will say, no, you must take Skronsky, you must take an offensive lineman at number 10. I'm out on it because you did take your offensive lineman last year, and he's only going to be a year wiser, has a whole NFL season to look back on and grow from. I think Jurgens is going to be the right guard, and I think a lot of Eagles internally believe that is going to be the case. My final story here is Marcus Mariota. He finally had his little press conference, which each of the free agents have had in front of the cool Eagle background there inside the Philadelphia Eagles studios. A great interview where he basically talked about why he chose Philadelphia, and it makes a ton of sense. He's also asked about the knee. The knee was an issue towards the end of the season this past year in Atlanta. He said, quote, "Knee feels great. I had to go in and get it cleaned up. It's been a couple of months just rehabbing, and last month or so, I've been able to get back to training, and the body feels good." And then, of course, the big question when asked about re-signing or signing with Philadelphia, quote, "At the end of the day, I was really looking for an opportunity to be part of a team that will just enjoy playing the game that I love, and the relationships that I have here was very important to me. At a point in my career where I just want to enjoy the game, I want to have fun doing it. The scheme is very exciting for me, and the fact of the matter is, I feel like I can help Jalen. And if we can make Jalen a better player, this team's going to be better. And to be a part of a team that was a play away from winning the Super Bowl was an opportunity that I couldn't pass up," end quote. And so he sees the two things that we all saw when they signed Marcus Mariota. One, it's a scheme that would make sense. If he had to come in and play 4 games down the stretch, they can play read options, what he did back in college. They can go for the whole zone read situation, RPO situation, run the football like crazy, whoever the running back is, behind a very good offensive line, and Mariota only has to make a couple of big throws a game in order to win. And then, of course, helping Jalen out. I mean, Marcus Mariota at least has the experience, right? And he's not a very good player, but there are plenty of not-so-great players who turn out to be very good coaches, and Mariota potentially could be one of those backup quarterbacks who helps mentor Jalen Hurts and gets him even better than where he was last year, which, of course, last year he was absolutely incredible. So, very interesting stuff here from Marcus Mariota, and I'm excited to have him as the backup quarterback. All the people who wanted Cam Newton, talked about it on the show yesterday, you're not going to get those answers from Cam Newton, right? You're going to get a little more me answers versus Mariota saying team. And again, that's what you want in your backup quarterback. Team first, team first, team first. All right, plenty more stuff happening next couple of days and weeks here as we get closer and closer and closer to the NFL draft. I think the Eagles might make some sort of splash next couple of days, whether it's a draft move, whether it's a new signing, whether it's a contract extension, Jalen Hurts, anybody. I think something is going to go ahead and go down. Be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for when that happens. I talk about everything regarding both the National Football League and the Eagles here, and it's a bunch of fun each and every day. I'm Thomas Mott. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.